Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had a second chance? Are you willing to take a gamble? Open your heart and change your thoughts and perspective for a new chance at life. Welcome to the Wisdom Cafe. I'm your host, Arthur Tassinello, a relationship and leadership coach and mentor. Join me each week for insights into how you can have more love, happiness, peace, and abundance in your life without giving up who you are. Know that you are powerful and you are the governor of your life. So listen, learn, and leap into a better future. Hi, everybody. I'm Arthur Tassinello, your host for the Wisdom Cafe. Welcome to another episode. It seems like I just did this yesterday for last week, so time is really flying by. I don't know about for you, but certainly for me, life has just passing me by so quickly. Maybe not so much passing me by because there is so much that I do in my life. There's, in the opening, I talk about, are you willing to take a gamble? But how much of a gamble do you want to take on life? There's certain things that you probably want to experience, probably things that you want to do, but is it a calculated gamble? I say that because in my life, my dad growing up always said, if only. And the if only was, if I only did this, and if I only did that, my life would be better, my life would have changed financially, whatever that is. And so for me, not to be the if only dad, I chose to do many things in my life. And many things, some not very well calculated, but certainly I've had a number of experiences. But today, I really want to try and address more of the adolescents out there. I think it's important because I know growing up, how it can be especially in high school. You don't always get treated well. You don't always see yourself as powerful or the person that you are, which is probably a good person. But we're always looking out for, I want to look like so-and-so. I want to be in this clique. I don't want to be somebody, when whatever that is for you can be okay. So whether you're the cheerleader or the nerd or the jock or the brainiac, whatever that is, whoever you are, that's probably a good place for you. So you don't have to aspire to be somebody else. We often just don't live our own lives. Many times we're living in the hope of being somebody else and somebody different, and maybe somebody that you believe is more acceptable to other people. We're trying to, in many ways, conquer life, and it's one of the things that we seem to always want to do is conquer something else. But what we're really looking to conquer is to conquer our own self, to get over the fears in our life, to get through life easier, more gently. And it's not often easy to do. So adolescence is certainly a critical period for personal growth. And until you get to know yourself, really get to know yourself, it's hard to do that. We don't often want to get to know ourselves. Most of the time we want to be somebody else. Social media is changing how we see ourselves so dramatically today. And always seem to be aspiring to be that social media guru, so to speak. How many followers can I get? Or even worse in a way, believing everything that we read on social media and how social media can affect us in so many negative ways and not often positive ways. There are a lot of things that we need to conquer. Oftentimes we say, let's conquer that mountain, that hilltop. Let's climb the mountain, right? But again, it's conquering what's inside of you, getting to know who you are. So there's a couple of tips to do that. And one of them is certainly to be self-aware. Recognize and understand who you are. Recognize yourself. And how do you do that? How do you understand your own thoughts and your emotions and your behaviors? So often it's like, well, I don't quite understand why I do those things. So you have to look a little bit deeper. Many times what happens, especially in adolescence, is that your behaviors are that of mimicking someone else that you aspire to be like. Try and aspire to be just who you are. Take the value of you and build on that value. Why I like this workbook that I created with Maureen Ake is because the questions in here will help you get to know yourself a lot better. You'll get to understand why you do a lot of the things that you do because you grew up with them. You grew up with other people that told you this is how to be. Some of those things of how to be were okay, some not okay, some whatever middle of the road place for you. But maybe it's time to really dig deep and find out who you are. I know I've often done that throughout my life. Who am I? Who am I in a relationship with a significant other? Who am I in my relationship with my parents? And I didn't really get to know that while I was growing up with them, but I did get to understand that a little bit later in life. And that's one of the reasons why I write so much about humanity. I write so much about us and the quality of our lives and how we contribute to having a better life for ourselves and certainly contribute to having better lives for the people around us, because it really is up to us, you and me, right? It's up to me to do those things, and certainly it's up to you to do those things. There's no doubt as a teenager you go through some very significant emotional and psychological changes. And developing this awareness allows you to move forward more easily and less traumatically. There's no doubt that we all grow up with fears about the people that we are surrounded with. Perhaps we fear that we're not good enough. Perhaps we fear the bully. And all of those things are understandable, but understanding why you believe those things, understanding why you react that way is one of the keys to helping you move smoothly through that and not be so traumatically affected. We become sometimes obsessed with trying to be like the other people, you know, other females, other males, whatever that is. Many times the person that is the brainiac, I'll call it, wants to be more like the jock. Sometimes the jock wants to be more like the brainiac. But the reality is that we can do all of those things without having to affect negatively somebody else's life, and certainly our own. So how do you overcome some of these internal obstacles? Because they are mental health challenges. You have anxiety, you have depression, you have self-esteem issues, and certainly it can feel very, very daunting to, so to speak, climb that mountain. It is more than anything conquering ourselves and not literally conquering that mountain. There are a lot of sayings out there. There are many metaphors on how to live life and how to be better at living life. I know one of them that I often heard was to work hard and stay at one job and just buckle down and do those things. But perhaps that isn't the way. I know it's not the only way. We're all different. Some of us want to go to college and get a better education to be the scientist or a biologist or a doctor. But some of us don't, not that you don't have the aptitude, just it doesn't feel right. I know it never felt right for me. I always wanted to be the businessman, and that's how I turned out. But it was often a fight of, you have to go to college. Well, I did go to college, but I only lasted 2 years because I needed to do more with my life than study. Now, I study a lot more as I'm getting older, or have been as I was growing, but I didn't need or want that I would say forced education. It wasn't for me. And perhaps that's not for you. In fact, as we look at what's going on in the world today, we do need more people to do other jobs besides that don't need that kind of education. You can have specialized education if you like. And that could be in anything from auto mechanics to just teaching yourself how to code. Or maybe you're that person that knows how to do podcasts better than anybody else, or do marketing better than anybody else, where you can get that specialized education as opposed to getting that more formal education. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things. I'm always on the balancing, or I call it the harmony part of life, which says, how do I do what I want to do for myself and still move forward without affecting somebody else negatively? So when we talk about these things, you know, it's sometimes I come onto the show and there's so many things to talk about, I may jump around a little bit. Self-healing and personal growth are so important to your, not just your mental health, but your physical health. I know that if you are not mentally healthy, you are definitely not physically healthy. And if you're not physically healthy, it's hard to be mentally healthy. Our body takes in these messages and it affects us all the time. If we're anxious, it affects our health. If we're not positive about things, it affects our health. If we're living in fear about something, it affects our health. And certainly the things that we do for our health affects our mental wealth. It's one of the reasons why my company was created, called Essential Wealth, with WHEALTH for wealth and health as a combination. I'm just going to choose a page from this book. And lo and behold, here it is. It's called Empowerment. It's actually week 12. And it asks you, are you in control of your life? Are you in a position of power over your life? Or do you allow others to navigate the waters of your life for you? And this goes back to what I was challenging you with before as an adolescent. Are you allowing the forces around you, the social media, or the other cliques or groups of people, to affect how you see yourself and what you do? So often you don't get to do what works for you or live in your purpose because you feel that the responsibilities you have to family and friends is either more important and necessary than your own. Now, we want to have harmony in our life. We try not to upset the apple cart too much. But remember that what's important to you needs to be fed. So it's not that these people aren't important, the other people, or that you must live your life without consideration for others. If you're not living your life on purpose, it makes it really hard to give to others with true benevolence. So this happens to be week 12 in the workbook. And so my challenge for you, perhaps even starting today, is to start living your life empowered, knowing how to balance what you need with your responsibilities. So before I go on, we're going to take a little break for a minute or two, and we'll come back with some more tidbits. Be right back. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had a second chance? Are you willing to take a gamble and change your thoughts and perspective? Welcome to the Wisdom Cafe. I'm your host, Arthur Tassinello, a relationship and leadership coach and mentor. Join me each Wednesday at 3 p.m. to explore what it is to be human and create that second chance.
You've been watching The Wisdom Cafe with Arthur Tassinello. For more information, please contact the studio at 888-994-4995 or send an email to arthur@arthurtassinello.com. And now, back to the show. Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to read a paragraph from the book because I think it's important, and it's better than me trying to ad-lib this. So we were thinking about this week's mission, which is empowerment. I began to think about why I continue to work and why I'm not retired. I look at many people I know that are my age and younger who are retired, and I realize that I continue to do what I do because I love what I do. I like what I do, and I think it's important for me that now that I've gained this wisdom to pass this wisdom on to other people. And it is my passion, and I feel it is my purpose. And it's not always easy to find that. I mean, it's taken me decades to understand, even though I was doing this kind of like behind the scenes, but I wasn't doing it full time. I've worked with a lot of companies, and I've always been kind of the same person, trying to help others, trying to assist in any way I can for them to for the company to grow, for the company to be better, for me to grow as well, but also assisting other people. So over the years, I needed to get to know me. I needed to get to know Arthur a lot better. In essence, I think what is the most important thing that we can do in our life is to create more peace and love. Now, that's easy to say, and it's not always easy to do because we're always challenged with some other force out there that wants to take us off our base. And that's not really a bad thing because it's our experiences that help us move forward in life and how we get to learn. If we don't have negative experiences, we really don't know the real positive way to do things. And that may sound counterintuitive, but the reality is that if you don't know black, you can't know white. If you don't know up, you can't know down. If you don't know what right is, you can't know what left is. And it sounds a little bit silly, but the truth is that we have to experience the yin and yang in life. Without that, it's almost not worth living, although some people will say, wow, wouldn't it be great if I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth? But even those born to great financial wealth don't always have great lives. They still, like everybody else, still have to put their shoes on one at a time. Although I have to say that, as I said that, maybe there's somebody helping them put their shoes on. But the reality is that no matter who you are and what family you were born into, there'll always be some challenges. And so empowerment can be expressed in many ways. It can be expressed economically, politically, culturally. And in each of these, there's a positive and negative force. So economic empowerment encompasses many things, such as setting aside funds for retirement, saving for business, education for yourself or your family, investing in your community maybe, or other future necessities, and not living beyond your means. Politically, you are using your power to make socially conscious decisions in the way you treat others, physically, emotionally, and monetarily. I keep getting back to visions of high school because this is one of the places that can be the most traumatic in your life. It is people trying to push the boundaries of who they are and what they can get away with, I'll call it. It's the people trying to associate with some people and disassociate with others because of their beliefs. But where did those beliefs come from? And that's another important aspect of finding yourself, or how to find yourself, by asking yourself. Actually, I've asked you the deep questions in here, which you can answer to understand what you can do with your life and how you can make your life better, even amidst the circumstances that you're in especially in high school. How do you move forward with people that are different from you culturally, maybe religiously, certainly physically? Is it necessary to call them out or not want to include them because they are human beings, just like you? I look at my life in high school, certainly with many challenges, because it was the same for me as it probably is for you, that you have a certain group of people that you hang around with because they are very much like you, and the people that other people or groups that you criticize because they're not like you. But I always have to come back to, we are all alike, really wanting the same things. I know you want to be happy. I know you want to be loved. I know you want to be liked. I know you want good things in your life. I know you want to be mentally and physically healthy. I know that you don't want the trauma, and you don't want to have to be excluded from anything. But in order for that to happen, you have to be inclusive as well. No one said life would be easy. No one said that you would get along with your parents, or that your parents would get along with you. But here's the opportunity for you to discover those things that are difficult and challenging, what you can do to get through life, I will say, more elegantly. Many times we talk about having balance in our life. I like to call it having more harmony in our life, because I equate it to an orchestra where you have many different instruments playing, but they're still together. They're creating beautiful music. They're not all playing the same notes at the same time, and certainly contributing to the overall melody of that piece. And it's the same for us, because you are different and so are they, but together you can create something beautiful. Just think about a sports team. Not everyone, let's say it's basketball, not everyone is great at throwing the long shots, the three-pointers. Not everyone is good at high jumping. Not everyone is good at dribbling or blocking. But you see together how they work as a team to win games. And I don't care what sport that is, except for golf. But then again, you have your caddy to help you make the right shot. The bottom line is that you have an opportunity every day to be a team player, to help everybody win at life, especially yourself. Because the more you help someone else, the more you will be helped, even though it may not happen immediately and maybe not tomorrow, but I guarantee you over time, everything will work out as it should. On another screen over here, it says, life changes in a very positive way if you let it. And I say, it changes in a positive way if you let it in and then give it out. So stay positive. And while a lot of people will say work hard, I will say work smart and make your life happy and beautiful. One more note as a metaphor. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. So for today, it's Arthur Tassinello, another episode of Wisdom Cafe. I hope some of the things that I talked about help you in some way. As I like to end the show, there's always somebody out there that loves you and somebody that you love and you care about that perhaps you haven't seen in a while, that you've been thinking about calling, but just haven't picked up the phone to do that. Please don't wait for them to do it. None of us knows how much longer we have in this life to be here. And so go tell somebody you love them. Text them or phone them, whatever that may be. Until next week, lots of love, many blessings. You have been watching the Wisdom Cafe. Join me each Wednesday at 3 p.m. to explore what it is to be human and create that second chance, as I examine ways about how you can have more peace, love, and happiness in your life. Until next week, remember this: when you change what you do and the way you look at things, the things you look at